Today on the show, we focused on race. At the Public School Forum, we have studied issues of race and the interplay with education. In fact, a new initiative of ours called the Racial Equity Consortium aims to bring together school systems across the state to develop policies and initiatives to remove or at least lessen the role that race plays in determining success in school. But today's show is less about policy and more about us as people. The exhibition opening this week at the Museum of Natural Sciences, Race, Are We So Different?, looks at race in the United States through the eyes of history, science, and lived experience. The program explains how human variation differs from race and when and why the idea of race was invented. Now, be warned, when you visit Race, Are We So Different?, you may actually walk out of the door knowing less about race than you thought you knew when you walked in. Science tells us we share a common ancestry, and the differences among people we see are natural variations, results of migration, marriage, and adaptation to different environments. The central message of the exhibition is that what we call races are not separate biological groups, but distinctions created by people, oftentimes to mistreat or isolate those they regard as different from themselves. Which brings us to the story of Joe Holt Jr. In 1957, his mom and dad wanted for him exactly the same thing I want for my daughter, and that all of us who are parents want for our children: an opportunity to do better than we did, kindness from others, to be treated fairly. But they knew Joe Jr. was not going to get the same kind of education in their separate and clearly unequal all-black school that the white children of Raleigh were getting. Even though the U.S. Supreme Court had already ruled separate but equal schools were unconstitutional, the Holts could not enroll their son. Their applications were turned down year after year. Mr. Holt's dad lost his job over it, and the family received death threats. Now, this isn't ancient history. I mean, Joe Holt's sitting right over there in this studio, and we met him today. But the good news is, the hope is those awesome kids that surrounded him, who decided to lift up his family name and are charting their own course and their own future, hopefully, at least when it comes to race, a better one than we did. That's it for this week's Education Matters. Next week's show will be joined by State School Superintendent Mark Johnson. Plus, we'll explore the importance of early literacy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.